to Ed's boat. Right, the last time we spoke I was at Crick Boat Show, had quite a good day of it. The weather was good, but it did put me a day behind work and I needed to get on with it really. So the next day I was straight back to the marina and get my head down and get on with the work. Now, one of the problems I had was space. I needed to have more elbow room really to carry on with what I was doing. So this is how I solved that problem. Today I have moored up on the towpath. Why, you might ask? Well, I need to cut some more 8-foot sheets of plywood and there's just not enough room in the boat. So I've got to do it outside the boat, and because it's a bank holiday Monday and all the dust and noise from the generator, I decided to come down to the towpath. Not far, the marina is just up there, look. And I've moored underneath some trees so I get a bit of shelter from any rain showers that might come down, buy me enough time to pack the gear away. It's not brilliant today, it is a bit wet. I've set my trestle tables out with my 8x4 sheet of plywood on. I've got my pattern, you can see my pattern laying on the top. So all I've got to do is draw around that, cut it out and then take it inside the boat ready to fit. Maybe a bit of trimming involved, but just running off my little generator there, look, and my jigsaw. And hopefully I've only got 2 sheets of this to cut today, so with any luck it won't take too long, but I'll better get cracking because the weather looks like it could change at any second. Okay, we're all done. I've got the wood cut, 2 sheets for the partitioning and one of the sides which would be for the bedroom. Managed to do it just in the nick of time as it's just started raining there, and the canopy of the trees that I was moored under bought me enough time to get packed away before everything got too wet. So yeah, not a bad day's work today. So we'll head back to the marina, we'll park the boat, have a quick tidy up, and then I think it's time to go home. Well, that was the last of the large sheets of plywood cut up and fitted on the boat, and I needed to really sort of crack on with the interior because I've got less than a week to go before I go on my big cruise, and there's a lot of work needs doing, but I did manage to get quite a chunk out of the way. So why don't we go over to the boat and have a quick look at what I've done so far. Right, I'll start off with work I've done at the front of the boat. So today I fitted a fender, which is a bit awkward with these because they've got quite a long pointy nose on them. It's quite an angle down to there, so getting it right so it would not be too high or too low, whatever, was a bit of a pain, but got there in the end. If I move further up there now, I fitted the horn a little while ago when I took the trip to Hawkesbury Junction. That was donated to the project by my friend Simon, so thank you very much for that. I may not be keeping it, but it certainly works for the time being. And just underneath that I've got a tunnel light, which is a 48 watt LED light. Is it any good? Well, I'll soon tell you, but it looks pretty good so far. It's pretty well built, and it wasn't too expensive, but we'll try it and I'll tell you if it's any good. Right, the rest of the work is towards the back of the boat. Right, we're in the engine bay. Now, I don't know if you remember, but when I took the trip to Hawkesbury Junction and on a particularly hot day, the engine got a bit warm. And that was mainly because there was no cool air coming into the engine bay, and more importantly, there was no hot air getting out. There was nowhere for it to go because I had the deck walls down. So I have made a cowling for the exit side of the fan system, which goes into 3 pieces of ducting, which blows the hot air out the side of the boat, pretty much like it should have been originally. This is sort of design I've seen on other boats. It seems to work quite well. I've given it a short test run, and yes, it works fine. This is very much a prototype, but if it works out okay during my big run out, I will reinforce it all, paint it all up, and just sort of make a more permanent fix. But this should be perfectly adequate for what I need for it for my big trip. But I'll let you know how it goes. Right, the other thing I needed to do was I needed more electricity. So I have made a battery bank. I don't know if you remember the battery tray that I made in one of my earlier videos. I've got 3 batteries in there. I just need to put the links in to connect the 3 batteries together. I haven't done that yet. Hopefully do that tomorrow. These are 310 amp hour batteries, so 330 amp hours all in. And I need a way of charging those, so I had to fit a split charge relay. Now this is the Jawrite split charge relay. It's a well-known thing. Lots of people have used it, had a lot of success with it. And what happens with it is your starter battery starts the engine, and then as the engine is running, the alternator for the engine charges that battery. When that battery is fully charged, the split charge relay picks that up and says, okay, we'll send all the electricity from the alternator down to the leisure batteries instead of charging the starter battery, because that's already full. It's all fused in with plenty of fuses, it's all done properly, but my alternator is only 36 amps, so I'll probably run out of electricity at some point over my trip, but I've brought a generator and a battery charger to make the difference. If I run the engine for a good length of time in the day and don't use too much at night, we should cope with this quite easily. But if we get a bad day where I have to moor up and can't make much progress, I might well get a bit low on the batteries, but I'll let you know how it works. So that's what I've had to do to create the electricity for the batteries. Also, these heavy cables had to be installed. These are 50mm cables, and they run all the way around the boat, as it's best to keep all your power cables as high up above the waterline as possible, and then that goes into the through the bulkhead and into the inverter. So yeah, quite a bit of work has gone on in the engine bay, but we should be good to go. Got the isolator switches on and everything. I do need to make some covers for those switches, but we should be all right for the time being. While I was on the towpath, one of the things I did was finish off the partitioning for inside. So that was one of the larger sheets of plywood cut up that I did earlier. We've built the walls, put the light switch in, which is not permanently fixed in. There's got to be a mounted block put in there. And once we'd done that, we could line out the rest of the bedroom and build a bed. So I've got my sleeping bag out of my van and the cushions out of my van to make the mattresses, and it fits pretty well. And the slats for it, to make it, actually came off my old bed at home. You know, the one that I nicked the framework off to make the battery trays. I saved the slats from it as well, the wooden slats, and used that to make this bed. Just cut 6 inches off one end, and in they went. The frame, the wooden frame for the side, if you can see, it's just literally a mock-up for the time being, but this came from a local tip. Somebody had stripped a pine bed down and was throwing it away, and while I was up there throwing rubbish away, I said, you know what, I'll have that. And I've made the side of the bed with that. So I have got quite a nice and spacious bed for when I go out on my trip. I've just got to get rid of this bit of wood down here, and I've got a little bit of carpet to go down there to keep my feet a bit warm in the morning when I get out of bed, and help keep the echo down a bit. But yes, very, very pleased that that went in quite easily. And there's loads of storage underneath, though I haven't made any cupboards or anything yet, but I will do in the near future. Right, let's move on to the next bit. Well, the bathroom is not working at the moment. The toilet is, that's all right, but I've got no shower or sink in there. I'm just using it for storage and put my tools in for the moment. We'll be getting on with that a bit later on, but I'm not going to have anywhere near enough time to finish that. So we're going to have to go without it and try and improvise when it comes to washing. So what I did was just get a couple of old sheets of offcut from when I made the sides, put the upper sides on, and an old welding curtain, which is just a courtesy curtain, just for a bit of privacy, so if I use the toilet and anybody happens to walk by and peer in through the window, they don't get a nasty surprise. Right, on to the next bit. Right, let's step down from the back of the boat, and straight away you'll see I put some carpet tiles down. These are only temporary, they're just cheap carpet tiles, but it's just something nice to walk on, and it'll keep the noise of the engine down a bit and stop any echoing, because it is quite echoey in here with just plywood sides in at the moment. I went down the tip and I bought very, very cheaply a little coffee table to put my television on. Yeah, still watching Carry On films. Brilliant way of passing the time while you work, you know, it's just have these Carry On films. It's really made working these long hours on the boat quite bearable. And there's a little tray underneath. I'll put my hats on and stuff like that. Okay, so if I look round, what I've done is I bought an inflatable sofa. Now, why have you done that, you ask yourself? Well, I bought this inflatable sofa purely so I can go out on my trip and have something to sit down on and lounge about on. And then if I need the space, I can just quickly deflate it, move it out of the way. But it's not going to stay. This is only temporary. This is just for this trip. But it is a lot bigger than I thought. It actually runs quite close to the fire. So I can't have the sofa out and the fire on at the same time unless I turn it down really low. But you know what, I don't think I'm going to need it. Right, but we've managed to put carpet tiles all the way through. I've got my little folding seat there, which I'll put out on the deck of an afternoon when it's sunny. Brilliant thing that is. It folds out really small, but it's really, really comfortable. Okay, it's the kitchen. I've managed to get the kitchen unit doors on. I haven't put the handles on yet, but I've put the doors on both sides, and all the drawers are working. So in this one, I've just got my cutlery drawer. I'll find some nice handles for that and we'll sort that out. But yeah, we tidied the kitchen up, managed to put the tools out the way, and yeah, I've borrowed a little book there. That's a really old book, but for trying to work the route out and plan my days out when I go on my trip. But I'll probably buy a more up-to-date one, but it's been very, very useful to plan it out with this old one, and some of the old adverts in it are really good. But the cooker is all up and running, but I've taken my little gas stove out of the van purely because I've got a couple of gas cylinders which are full, which need using up, so I thought I'll use them first before I go on to the other ones, and then we can pack that away properly. That's my little camping kettle. I'll probably get a slightly bigger one and use one for boiling drinking water, and the other one just purely for hot water for washing up. Which brings me on to my next thing. Right, on to the partition here by the kitchen. I've actually mounted a water boiler. Now it goes up through a hole in the roof. Now this took an absolute age to fit, because where that hole goes through the roof, it went through two pieces of 1/4 inch angle iron, which was fitted to the roof originally when they built the boat. It's not used now, but it was part of when they made the boat. They bolted the roof sections together and then welded them through, and then that doubled up for holding the roof joists up. So I had to go straight through the middle of it, and it was an absolute nightmare to get through. The angle iron was particularly tough, and I didn't really have the right tools for the job, so it went on forever. But I got there in the end, and we've put this little water boiler on. It's not connected up. That gas pipe's got to go in. We've got to put a cold water supply in and a hot water outlet on it. There's no time to do that at the moment, so we're going to go on our trip without hot water. But like I said earlier, I'm going to boil a kettle for hot water for washing up and things like that, and when it comes to washing myself, well, again, we're going to have to come up with something clever there. But this is a nice little water on demand unit. You know, there's no pilot light on it. It's battery ignited. Basically, as you turn the water on, it will fire up, heat the water, give you hot water, and then when you stop running the hot tap, it will just turn itself off. So yeah, we're going to give that a try, and I'll let you know how good it is, but obviously it's not running at the moment. But it should be easily adequate to give me all the hot water I need, including showers and stuff like that. But like I say, we'll do that another day. Well, that's about it for another episode, and believe me, I am tired after the amount of work I've shifted in the last 2 weeks. Still got a lot to do and no time to do it, so less than a week to go before I go on my trip. But me personally, because of my work commitments, I can't spare a lot more time to work on it, so we're going to have to go with pretty much what we've got, although we'll be working on the boat as we go along. Right, the next time we speak will be the beginning of the journey. So if you would like to follow me, why not subscribe and ring that bell for notifications? It is free. So you can join me on my journey round, and I plan to broadcast a video from that maybe every 2 days or so, or depending on if there's anything interesting or any disasters that happen, anything like that. So in the meantime, take care, and I'll see you soon.